morning, everyone. Today's Monday. I just woke up. Today's the first day of the 8-week shred that we're gonna do. I got a couple of friends and my mom joining me, so it's gonna be awesome. So to get started, we're just gonna weigh in, take a picture, get the stats, record some progress, and we'll go from there. Alright, so it's in the morning because you want to get the most accurate weight. And that's usually in the morning because you're empty stomached and you haven't, make sure you haven't drank anything or eaten anything before weighing. So just gonna go ahead and step. I'm at about 193.6 right now, which is a little bit higher than I expected it to be. The good thing is that, after a while of putting on a little bit of muscle, it doesn't, when you put on layers of fat, at least for me, it hasn't shown as much before. For example, if I would have been 193 about 2 to 3 years ago, it would have been a lot different. But now that we're trying to cut the weight, it doesn't really matter. I am a little bit higher than I thought I'd be, but it's okay because we're starting the 8-week shred for that reason. And then I'm just gonna show you guys what I'm doing for my macros and how I'm gonna be measuring my progress here.
All right, y'all. I just got out of work. Work was good, super slow, so nothing to complain about. Easy Monday. Now we're about to hit a good chest and triceps workout. So let's hop right into it. Now that we're back from the gym, let's talk about the topic of this video. Before I tell you how to lose fat and build muscle, first I have to tell you how the process works. So building muscle happens when you break down the muscle through working out or extraneous exercise of whatever you'd like. You break down the muscle fibers and they are depleted. When you break down the muscle fibers, they need protein to build back up, which is why we need more protein in our diets. And this protein synthesis process also requires energy, which is why you would also eat a lot of carbohydrates to supply for this energy. But in my opinion, you can just use the energy they have stored in your body to help aid that process. Now, I'm going to give you 2 kinds of steps. There's going to be 3 tangible steps you can start taking today, and then 3 non-tangible steps that you should be aware of as you begin this process. So first, the 3 tangible steps. Step number 1. You have to plan out your macros based on your height and weight and physical activity. So what you do is you go into a website such as any macro calculator you can find online. They are all going to be different. What I did was I grabbed the average from 3 of them. That way I knew that I had the opinion of several kinds of websites. And what you do after is that you put in your height, your weight, the amount of exercise you do throughout the week. I usually go lower, that way I get the most accurate result because I feel like a work day is just the usual routine that everybody goes through and then it's not really considered as exercise. So unless you're running 2 miles or 3 miles 3 times a week, I would keep it as just slightly active lifestyle. And what you would get out of that calculator would be your calories, your protein, your fats, and your carbohydrates. Those last 3, they are your macros, your macronutrients. Those are most important for you to supply what we talked about earlier to build the muscle and shred the fat at the same time. And remember, this is different for everyone. I'll show you guys here in the screen what I'm doing. So I'm at about 2,100 calories right now, which is a little bit on the lower end, but it's still really high in protein and really high in carbohydrates. That way I still have energy throughout the day and I'm supplying my body with the protein that it needs to build the muscle as it shreds the fat at the same time. Now, step 2 is to plan ahead. So what does that mean? This is most importantly in terms of your eating and your workout routine. So in terms of eating, So first step was to know what you need to eat healthy, right? Like how much of what. Now you know how much protein you have to eat, carbs and fats, and the calories, which is most important. Now that you have that information, you need to be able to make decisions on what kind of food you need to eat, right? Like a little bit more chicken, a little bit more meat, and a little bit less on the bread, the pasta, potatoes, such things as that. What I've seen is that when you don't plan ahead with your eating, what happens is that you're filled with all these options throughout the day. Like, what can I eat today that fills my requirement? And even though you narrow down that decision now, because now there's an actual criteria that your food has to meet, but at the same time, just having that option doesn't really let you have enough time to think through your options very well. Think through your options very well. So what I have found to be most helpful is to meal prep. So what you do is you grab all the groceries that you need in bulk, you cook them all at the same time. You make all of the chicken at the same time, you cook all of the vegetables at the same time, and then you use containers, obviously, to ration your food, and you distribute it for the days of the week. So for example, for me, I usually don't meal prep breakfast. That's the one meal I like to cook on the spot. But then I make, for example, a chicken breast and a cup of rice, or such thing as that. And I put that in every single container, throw it in the fridge. That way, when it comes down to having that meal, I don't have to be deciding like, what do I feel like, what's best for me, and you have to think through my options, and rather just pick it out of the fridge, don't even think about it, and just go, knowing that I'm meeting my goals. And then the second part of it is a workout routine. What's most crucial is you find the time that works for you. You don't have to do it in the morning or at night based on the benefits. There's an entire rabbit hole of benefits and disadvantages. There's a whole rabbit hole of advantages and disadvantages to working out in the morning, throughout the day, at night, fasted, with cardio, without cardio. And it can be a lot of information to try to make a decision with. So what I've seen is that just go with whatever works with your schedule. If you work too early, then go out later in the day. Or if you work later during the day, then have some time in the morning, go through your workout. But make sure you treat it as an appointment with yourself, you prioritize it, plan ahead, and you follow through. All right, back in my room, back in the office. The third tangible step I have for you is the third tangible step I have for you is to start small but increment slowly. And this, once again, goes for both eating and workout routine. So if you're not used to working out, then starting with 3 to 4 days a week, like 30 minutes each session, is more than perfect. It's totally fine. You don't need to be drenched in sweat and be there for 2 hours. That's not necessary. As long as you have a good workout that works with you, that you're comfortable with, and that pushes you, that's all that you need to do at the beginning. But once you start getting too comfortable and you feel like you're not really working every time after you're done, then make sure to either increase the weight, increase the reps, or just have more sessions throughout the week, whatever works for you. And as for the eating, you can start by making better decisions one step at a time. So start with breakfast. Then make sure that your lunch is healthy. Finally, make sure your breakfast, lunch, and dinner are healthy. And if you want to have one day where you're just not really thinking about it, that's totally fine. Just don't see it as a cheat day, because I feel like what happens when you start thinking of it in cheat days is that you're kind of not living it as a lifestyle. And the point that we're trying to make here is to turn this into a habit. Like, this will never be a thing that you kind of step into for a few months and then you step off of. Because the goal here is to just make it a lifestyle. That way, any progress that you make down the years, the long-term years, are only going to be benefited from the habits that you develop today. So, the 3 things that you need to keep in mind as you try to lose weight and build muscle at the same time that are non-tangible is, first off, you need to make a decision. Because if you remember back to any habit that you've ever changed in your past, it wasn't ever like I think I'll do this, I'm not so sure. Every change that you've ever made in your past that was for a positive future was always after a commitment, after a decision. Because when you decide, you, by definition, are getting rid of all the other options that are out there. Whether you might want to, instead of eating healthy, you might want to just have a snack here and there, or you might want to go out with friends as often as you do. It doesn't align with your goals, and it doesn't show that you've actually made a decision. Step number 2 is you need to remember what you're sacrificing. And this is most importantly when you're having trouble, when it starts getting hard. Because if you start, the first week might feel freaking awesome, like you're on a roll, you're gonna lose weight, build the muscle, you're gonna do the impossible. But the second and third week are only gonna get harder and harder as you try to develop a habit, as you try to incorporate new routines into your life, such as different dietary habits or a different workout routine. So when it starts getting hard and it feels like you're going through the mud, what you need to remember is what you're sacrificing. Because when you're making changes for the positive, such as this, they don't come for free. There's always something that you're gonna have to give up. It's up to you what you're giving up and whether you're gonna give it up or not. So for example, if you enjoy going out with friends Tuesdays and Thursdays for some ice cream, then be conscious and aware that that's what you're giving up. And when you feel the urge to try to go out or they invite you and you're forced with a decision to make whether you want to go or not, you have to remember, well, what do you want better? And it's all about delayed gratification. So remember what you're sacrificing. And lastly, you have to remember to remain consistent. This is no overnight change. This is not gonna happen between night and day. You will not go work out and it'll feel amazing. You're gonna feel super fit. And it will not take a week either, not even a month, maybe not even 3 months. But you have to trust the process. Be aware that even though you're not seeing the results, maybe not even feeling them, that they are happening. And you just have to remain consistent and just know that if you're consistent enough, only results will come. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I hope this is helpful to most of you. I hope to be of some help. I hope to add value to your lives. And remember, if you have any questions, hit me up, drop a like, subscribe, and I really appreciate it. See you guys next time.